Mama's boy. You know you actually need to return to suckling Mama's breast milk again, right? Rachel shouted. What is it again, Rachel? Smith questioned, avoiding Rachel's eyeballs. Really? Did you just ask me that question? Oh my goodness, and he even addressed me by my name. No more, my love. Of course, you would because of your baby mama, Sophia, who is now living with us. Rachel insinuated angrily. Please let us not start this issue all over again. I had a bad day at work. I lost a patient during a surgery. Oh, please, spare me the details. That was the same way you hid under the canopy of work, and was sleeping with my best friend, Rachel retorted. Gosh, it was a mistake, Rachel. It was a mistake. It was just a night with Sophia. Oh, can you just shut it? Was it about a mistake that you ran to Mama to let her know our kids are missing? What? Even with the fact that you know how troublesome and dramatic Mama can be. Oh my goodness, I'm married to a man that is Mama still licks his running nose. Mama's boy, that is what you are. You can't handle your own family issues without running to your mother. Rachel begins to cry. Just as anyone would expect of Mama Smith, she learned of Rachel's missing kids and quickly rushed to her son's house. Due to how nice Mama Smith was to Rachel when she gave birth to her two kids, she felt Mama would at least sympathize, but she got the shock of her life. Spare my hairs with your cock and bull stories. You have sold my grandchildren to your witchcraft society. And if there should be anyone to leave this house, it's you, Rachel. It's you. Sophia has my grandchild, and I can't lose in two places. Rachel, leave my son's house. You are an evil woman. That is why the gods keep mocking you with childbearing, she exclaimed. Rachel tried to stop Mama, but she shouted louder, and each time a son, Dr. Smith, tried defending Rachel, Mama would shun him, claiming he was under Rachel's spell. Finally, the heat in the home between Rachel and Sophia became too hot for Mama to bear. She picked a few belongings and escaped back to the village overnight. However, Rachel struggled so much to come in terms with the situation. Sophia and Dr. Smith began to argue over what to do about the child, causing problems in the marriage. Sophia wanted to keep the child and raise her, while Dr. Smith was adamant that the child should be given up for adoption. Rachel was horrified. She couldn't believe that her husband would even suggest such a thing. Didn't he care about the child's well-being? As the argument escalated, Rachel realized that she had to take control of the situation, feeling pity of her best friend, Sophia, to be thrown out to the street with 2-month-old baby. She couldn't let her husband make such decision for the sake of the innocent child. Stop! She shouted, her voice echoing through the room. This is not about what you want or what you think is best for us. This is about what's best for the child. Sophia and Dr. Smith looked at her in surprise. But Rachel continued, we need to think about the child's future first and well-being. We can't just abandon her or use Sophia's mistake to judge the innocent child. As Rachel spoke, she felt a sense of clarity wash over her. She knew what she had to do. Let's work together to find a solution that's best for everyone, she said. But most importantly, let's think about what's best for the child. Rachel's word hung in the air, and for a moment there was silence. Then Sophia spoke up. You're right, Rachel. I'm sorry for everything I've done to you. And thanks for accommodating us. I guess Smith wasn't thinking about the child's well-being. Dr. Smith nodded in agreement. I'm sorry too, Rachel. I know this is not the best way and time to apologize, but I promise to make it up to you. You're kind-hearted. I was blinded by my own guilt and shame. I didn't even think about what's best for the child. Rachel looked at them both. Her expression softening. I know you're all hurting right now, but we need to put our differences aside and think about the child's future. You can't lose everything, Smith. No one knows the fate of our kids, if they are still alive or not. Baby Jessie, Sophia's newborn, can be a consolation while we look for a half sibling. Rachel felt fulfilled that she was able to handle the situation despite her odds and forgiving her best friend. After hours of discussion, they finally came to a decision. Sophia would keep the child, but Rachel and Dr. Smith will be involved in her life as co-parents. They will be buying a mansion to house both Sophia and her baby and ensuring everything she needs for the child's growth and well-being will be sent to her on a monthly basis. It wasn't an early solution, but it was the best one for the child. And as they hugged each other, Rachel knew that they had made the right decision. The decision did not go well with Sophia. She selfishly wanted everything: Rachel's home and her husband. She pretended to be happy, but taking a closer look at her face, you would observe she wanted more. In all, Rachel couldn't shake off the feeling of emptiness and worry about her missing two kids. It had been weeks since they were kidnapped, and she had heard nothing from the kidnappers. One day, while Rachel was lost in the thoughts of them, she received a mysterious phone call. The voice on the other end claimed to have information about her missing children. Rachel's heart raced as she listened to the voice, her mind filled with hope and fear. The voice told her to meet them at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town if she wanted to see her children again, and must not come with the police or her husband. Rachel knew it could be a trap, but she couldn't take the risk of not trying. She arrived at the abandoned, empty warehouse, her heart pounding in her chest. As she entered the dimly lit building, she saw two figures in the distance. They were small and looked like children. Rachel's heart leaped with joy and relief. But as she got closer, she realized that something was off. She saw someone that looked like Sophia in the background of three hefty men and two pale-looking children. As she got closer, the kids were taken out of the scene. "What's going on?" she thought. As she went closer, a hand from her back covered her face. She realized that she was baited to come over to the warehouse. Rachel's world crumbled around her. She felt like she had been punched in the guts. "Where are my children?" she demanded, trying to keep her voice steady. Her hands and legs were tied. The figure didn't respond. They just kept staring at her with blank expressions. Suddenly, the light went out and Rachel was plunged into darkness. As the light returned, she saw Sophia sitting in front of her. "Leave us," she told the kidnappers. Rachel has never felt more scared and betrayed than this. "Sophia, you again? Aren't you tired? What have I done to you? What do you want from my family?" she referred. "Good question. He chose you over me for the second time and I still want him back. You are a snitch, Rachel. I met him first, but you always wanted everything I wished to have. Back in our school days, you cheated me severally. But you see this one? I'm not letting go. It's either you leave him for me or we lose together." "Look, Sophia, you are my best friend from childhood. Whatever it is, consider the bond we have shared," Rachel pleaded. Sophia's instructed one of the guys to bring Rachel's kid for her. The kids looked so pale like children that have not eaten for a long time. The once cute kids looked like shadows of themselves. Tonya and Tony were so happy to see their mom again. The kids tried to hug her and was stopped by Sophia. "You have to choose between you and your kids and Smith. If you choose your kids, I would board the latest flight out of the country for you with $5,000 in your account to never return again. But if you decide to choose Smith, you would help me deliver a message to my late parents in the other world. You have 5 minutes to decide," Sophia said. As Sophia left the scene, giving Rachael a little gap to make a decision, Rachael quickly ran a voice note to her husband, letting him know of her predicament. Her daughter quickly withdrew the phone from her mom, switched it off, and then hid it inside her clothes. When Sophia returned, she needed an answer from Rachael, who was crying and pleading with her kids. Sophia was determined to shoot Rachael to death if she fails to bid to her demands. As she tried to shoot Rachael, Tony quickly jumped into her mom and was shot instead. Just then, the police siren was heard in the background. Sophia tried to run and was shot instantly. She died. The other gang members were arrested as Tony was rushed to the hospital with heavy bleeding. Everyone prayed so hard for little Tony to survive as it was booked for emergency. Before he entered the theater, he held his daddy and mommy and said, "Give Tonya another Tony. I love this family, but I can't help it." Dr. Smith could not withstand carrying out his son's surgery by himself because of his emotional and mental condition at the moment. Another surgeon was asked to take over. He held his wife tightly as they prayed, while Mama Smith, who was later seen in the hospital reception, was carrying Tonya on her laps. Everyone sobbed and sobbed with little hope in their hearts. Hours later, a lifeless body covered in white linen was rolled out of the theater. The nurses' faces looked like a no-go area as they rolled the dead body away. "He couldn't make it," Mama Smith shouted in tears. On hearing that, Rachael and Smith jumped out of their prayers as they turned their back to see what was going on. The surgeon marched forward to his senior colleague Smith and said, "Tony is alive. He made it. What a narrow escape. Your God answers prayer." Sophia's daughter later grew up with her half-siblings, and everyone lived happily ever after.